Hola, buenas tardes. Vuelvo a estar con...
Very good afternoon. I have the microphone here. I am Carmen Espinós again. Hello, everyone. While we are uploading the presentation, I would like to mention regarding the genetic studies that were mentioned by Luis very often. I'm not going to talk about genetics, so that's why I want to put this. Sometimes you do receive negative genetic, but genes have many parts, and they're not always studied in detail. So when you get the report of a negative genetic study, what have they studied? The mutations that were mentioned, Luis, which are in the promoter, is unusual. So it tells you that there's nothing there. Well, maybe you need some regions, maybe you need some segments to be studied, but you need to go a bit further down the road and see what did they study. So, but I'm going to be speaking to you about biomarkers. The biomarkers, it has been mentioned before that exchangeable copper is a biomarker. The objective of the biomarker is to anticipate the disease. In other words, to have some sort of parameter or measurement to know how the disease is progressing. Ideally, the ideal situation in the ideal world will be having high sensitivity and specificity. Not always that is the case, but we want specificity and sensitivity. In our graph, we concentrate in the micro RNAs. We have the circulating nucleoids here, and the main purpose is to regenerate those genes. You can study them from plasma. That's a very good medium, very easy to extract. And what we wanted to do is to establish and see if they could actually serve as biomarkers for the WD. Very well, now it's working. So the study that we're doing is composed of 3 cohorts. One cohort is the investigation or research cohort. It comes from La Fe Hospital, Marina Berenguer, and Dr. Sastre, and part of that of patients coming from Elche's hospital with Eva Girona group. And for that cohort, that research cohort, we have 20 patients in the population plus 20 controls, and we want to determine if compared vis-a-vis those 20 controls, there are differences. We were looking for biomarkers that will be highlighted in these patients. Then we had a validation cohort. In the first one, we had those microRNAs, and that group of patients comes from Las Palmas, the Gran Canaria, in the Canary Islands. They have been sent by Luis and Antonio, the previous speakers, and what we did in that cohort, the microRNAs that we had detected, the first one tried to validate. We tried to see if the results that we have obtained in the first phase were going to be reproduced in an independent, different group of patients. This is the comparison that we have vis-a-vis Valencian and the Canarian, and they were now significant regarding manifestation of the disease, men, women, age. But what we see in the first cohort in Valencia, we detected 18 microRNAs that were regulated positively. They have more presentation comparing vis-a-vis healthy population. We have 18 biomarkers. And among those biomarkers, once we did statistical analysis, we concluded that there were 3 that seemed to have better association to the disease. And there were these 3, the 122, 192. Then we repeated, and then here we have 885. So we have the MIR 885, MIR 122, and MIR 192. And we knew based on the available publications that they were related to hepatic disorders. Here you can see the graph of the research cohort, 1 for those MIRNAs that we have. In blue, we have healthy population, and orange, we have the population presented with diseases. We see that they're higher levels. And if we study the validation, this is the reproduced analysis. And what we see here, the population of patients in the orange is higher. So we can corroborate the results and concur those results, what we studied in one population, and then in the other population, they are aligned. We did a correlation to biochemicals like transaminase, bilirubin, cholesterol, AST, GGT, and we saw correlation. So we see that the results that we obtain at first are validated ulteriorly in groups of patients that are studied later. After that, we were able to see, again, the research cohort, but 3 years down the road. Why did we do that? What we wanted to do was to see if those results were going to be kept throughout time, or if it was just a matter of chance. We wanted to really validate that throughout time, and with the advancement of time, in this case 3 years, we were going to get them. This is a comparison of the control and patient arms. Of course, if we compare healthy patients, that's control, and patients, we want these parameters that we normally use, as you see there. It's cholesterol, AST, LAT, GGT, AP. And the 3 microRNAs that we use are again regulated positively. And once again, there's a correlation with hepatic enzymes. So in the first group of patients that was a study, and also the second group that was independent, vis-a-vis those patients studied 3 years down the road, the results are pretty much concurring. Therefore, the cohort that we had, they will regulate positively, and that positive regulation will be related to hepatic damage because there's the presence of those enzymes. And the fact that we had these 3 microRNAs that provided a signature could serve its purpose in order to have a diagnosis, prognosis, and to monitor other new drugs with other tests that is pretty much standardized now for Wilson's disease study. For MIR 122, this is usually the one with the highest expression in liver, and it's been used not only for Wilson, but also for other hepatic conditions. This is a knockout rat model. So we saw the miRNA, at week 10. But when you study transaminase, for example, bilirubin, they appear in week 12. So at least in this rat model, MIR 122 is a better biomarker. It anticipates what we're going to find. So this study, this concludes that it is a very highly sensitive. It is not highly specific. No, it's not, because we will find it associated to other hepatic. So there's no specificity, and there has we've seen a lot. So it's not really highly specific. And then what we did is working with Doctora Gloria González Asegnolaza, we used another different mice with absence of ATP7B. And by studying this mice, we wanted to see what happened while the disease was progressing, because the study that we did was with patient samples that have been treated. So we wanted to have samples of untreated patients. So we have here the mice, untreated mice. And what we found, of the 3 biomarkers that we have ID'd, one of them was not appropriate for mice, but we did the 122, 192, and used the model. The Wilson model is in orange, and again is high if compared vis-a-vis versus the healthy control, which are the bluish color here. And you hear from week 12, and it's also regulated positively, as we see in patients in this model. Regarding the biochem, for the 12-week, we see transaminase that are increased, bilirubin, etc. And from week 16, phosphatase is also up. And from week 20, we see, not this one, we see that the mice is there. And the micro RNAs that we've studied, we increase from week 12, which goes hand in hand with albumin and other hepatic enzymes like ALTA, STBT. When we did a study at the 3-stage, what we saw in the plasma increase. Here there's some sort of conflict regarding these fluctuations. We understand that there are 2 reasons for these changes, because the regenerative capacity that the liver has, and also because of the release when the liver is damaged, we see the microbes being released. That's what could account for what we have here. That's why we don't have this positive regulation. Let me go back. You see here, we see a change. So pretty much the take-home messages and conclusions are, we have been able to do mirrorness in 3 different type of patients. We have 3 microRNAs that have a positive regulation. We see that it's a result that keeps repeating itself, so that's robust. It's correlated to hepatic enzymes in the mice model. In 2 of them, they increase from week 12. For the liver, we see that there's a fluctuation that we could explain. And the profile that we have been able to characterize, it could be a potential marker in order to facilitate, especially follow-up Wilson's disease. What are we doing? We want to research on the microRNA profile for pediatric patients. I would love to assess the mRNA in adult patients, the mRNA for adult patients without treatment. So maybe we can join forces with a pharma company. This is a call for you guys. Maybe you are keeping data, and we could do that with you. And again, once again, thank you. Thank you to every single one of you for being here, to my colleagues that are participating behind the stage, many of them, to you for paying attention. And this is now an advertising comment. This is this year on the February 12th, 2024, we will be conducting our research day for rare So we're going to have a lot in February and March. We're going to have a lot and a busy agenda. But let us hope that we can really concentrate and that all the current affairs are back to normal. Thank you so very much. Thank you all.